This video is brought to you by AvaTrade, the multi-asset investment platform that lets you put your money to work and trade with confidence. If you take a global perspective, not a YouTuber turned millionaire or a royal borough of Chelsea resident's perspective, £1,000 is a lot of money. It takes effort to save it, and the last thing you want to do with it is to let the cookie monster, inflation, eat that dough. Which means you want to put it to work, invest it. Let me show you today how you could invest that kind of money. Hey, welcome back to All the Honeys. I'm Marta and it's really good to have you here. Quite frankly, I don't remember how I saved my first £1,000. I can only suspect that it was during my second serious job in the UK when I worked as a mental health support worker. It was then when I opened my first individual savings account, ISA for short. Actually, one of the viewers reminded me that we used to have those small blue books which looked very similar to the notebook here. And every time I'd like to deposit or withdraw some money from my ISA, I'd take it to my bank and a really friendly person behind the counter would put it into a printer and that way leave a record for me to look at later. I don't have that book anymore, as well as you might have noticed. I don't hold on to a lot of stuff. Anyway, that's the story of my first £1,000. How did you save yours? Let me know in the comments. Okay, let's jump straight into it. The first and most preached, but not necessarily practiced way to invest £1,000 would be the stock market. Why? Because it pretty much guarantees long-term to beat inflation and interest your money would make if you put it in a normal, regular savings account, no matter how good that savings account interest rate looks. There's two main ways to do it. You can invest in index funds or ETFs, exchange traded funds, or you invest in individual stocks for dividends. So, index funds and ETFs. I usually compare investing in index funds to buying yourself a radio station or a record label. You don't know who will be popular and who will not turn out a complete flop, but because you have so many artists on your roster, you don't need to care. Overall, you'll make a decent profit anyway. The same goes for index funds. If you buy the famous SP 500 fund, your company roster will consist of 500 biggest companies in North America. Almost 30% of SP 500's revenue comes from foreign markets, so you're accidentally becoming globally invested at the same time. Because SP 500 has been averaging over 10% a year since 1920s, and that includes some rather low points in financial history, like the stock market crash of 1929, the declines of over 36% in the 60s, over 48% in the 70s, the dot-com crash of the early 2000s, the recessions of 2008 and the pandemic in 2020. Most people predict, assume and hope for similar returns in the future. Individual stocks. Most of us, and that includes you, my friend, will not do better than index funds. But this doesn't mean we cannot try. If you are like Simon Cowell and A, know the ingredients of the next pop star, and B, are not afraid of moving back with your parents if things don't go according to your plan, then investing in individual stocks might be exactly what you need. If you haven't already, I suggest you educate yourself on reading company accounts and figuring out what to look for when researching businesses. This book should be a good start. If you're not too keen on filling your head regularly with numbers, yet still want to invest in individual stocks, your relatively safe option is to put your money into so-called blue chip companies. In poker, blue chips are the highest value pieces. Similarly, well-known, well-established and well-capitalized companies are considered crème de la crème. On top of that safety that blue chip companies offer you, most of them also will pay you dividends. So you also can get your hands on some passive income. Some of us love long-term passive investing, and some of us quite the opposite. You might be in a hurry to get rich and fully aware of your risk tolerance. Go for picking your own stocks, dabble in buying and selling commodities, or simply love the simplicity, and I mean simplicity, not ease, behind Forex trading. Does this sound like you? Then you will like AvaTrade, one of the most secure brokers in the industry. It's heavily regulated across 6 continents, and still it will offer you a local feel thanks to its customer support desks and physical presence in these major financial hubs. It's a multi-asset investment platform, so you trade Forex, stocks, indices, commodities and crypto without the headache of dealing with multiple providers. AvaTrade's mission is to make sure you learn how to trade using their platform and keep using it once you reach the level of full proficiency. If you're like me, you like the fact that they have a mobile app. In short, you can use it anywhere, anytime. Curious to give AvaTrade a go? Sign up using the link in the description of this video. Psst. Remember that, as with all investments, your capital is at risk. Alright, stock market behind us, let's talk about the national favorite, property. Can you become a property owner with £1,000? Yes, you can. This handy book explains how you can become a property investor without much money to start with. One of such options is a purchase lease option. Here's how it works. You find a cheap house that has been on the market for quite a while. You contact the owner, so the seller, and offer to take the weight of an unwanted mortgage off their shoulders with an option agreement. For a nominal amount of money, it could be £10, it could be £1, you get an option to buy or sell their property for a fixed, agreed-on price at any time during a pre-agreed future period. So your main expense is the solicitor's fees, and you get to buy a property at a low price along with a guaranteed income as you lease it back to the original owner. Now there's a lot to be said about how ethical this type of investment is. Some say it's taking advantage of people who are really financially vulnerable. Others say it's a transaction between a keen seller and a savvy buyer. It's up to you how you see it. Personally, I wouldn't go down that route. I mention it here as property investing is usually seen as one of which you need a lot of capital to begin with, to get into, and that is not necessarily true. Another way you can invest £1,000 is to pump it into your side hustle or your business. If you haven't got a side hustle but are considering one, put your idea to test with my free 6S side hustle checklist. You can find it on my website and I link to it in the description of this video. Side hustles are a bit like traveling to a foreign country. When you treat them like that, you can clearly see how you can invest in them. When traveling, you need a basic use of the foreign language or a guidebook. Now, similarly in your business, you need to gain skills you don't currently have. The best way to do it is to find out what needs improving and then focus on that. Get a course on the subject. I buy and complete courses all the time. My latest one was on how to be a better YouTuber. You cannot travel with some sort of bag, and depending on where you go to, equipment. It's just the same with your side hustle. A word of warning here. If you keep thinking that you need more and more equipment instead of producing work with what you already own, you're falling into the fake obstacle trap. In other words, it's great to have a new laptop because your old laptop stopped working and you need something to create your work on. Let's say to write a blog. But it's not good to have a new desk, a reading lamp and a set of notebooks when all you needed was a laptop. Procrastination has many faces, and the fake obstacle trap is one of them. Finally, let's say that you're trekking the desert and it really helps to pay somebody to let them use their camel. So if you can save time and effort by outsourcing tasks that use up too much of your precious time, use that £1,000 to do so. Now, it doesn't really have to mean hiring somebody to prepare and manage your social media content, for example. Let's face it, £1,000 is not going to be enough for that. But what it could mean is hiring a cleaner for the next few months and then freeing that time that you normally spend doing the cleaning, completing tasks that will take your side hustle to the next level. But what if you are one of those people who don't have a side hustle, a business, and don't give a hoot about either? The best option for you would be to invest in yourself. So read books. Books are one of the best ways to expand your horizons and tackle the input-output challenge. So, if you want to speak, you first need to listen. If you want to write, you first need to read. Books give you a multitude of ideas and can shape your mindset and teach you a thing or two about life. I'm a forever fan of libraries. I simply don't need to own everything I read, but I still do buy and keep or sell on books. This is my last purchase. This year I decided I want to read everything by Adam Grant because he's an interesting guy. For me, books are the first step to self-improvement. Then comes education. It could be an informal or a very formal course. Let's see. Say you want to qualify as a mortgage advisor, change your career. And you can do it in the UK right now for less than £1,000. This could lead to a paid employment, a change of your career. I'd say that's a great price for what you get in return. What's even quicker and, in my opinion, even more effective than education is coaching. I've worked with business coaches, with a personal trainer, and with a swimming coach. And so far, the returns, even when not monetary, always outweighed the investment. These are some of the ways you can invest £1,000 today. Remember, you define your rules. You can invest the whole £1,000 into one of these suggested things, or you can divide it up. Let's say buy a new microphone and start a podcast, buy individual stocks and index funds, and complete an online course on public speaking. All up to you. Just keep in mind that all the above investments will perform much, much better when you give them time. So knowing yourself is the first step in making the right choice. Good luck with it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.